Hello friends, in this video we will be discussing essential tips for plastering. So let us start. Type and grade of cement. PPC Portland Pozzolana cement of grade 43 is commonly used for plastering in construction. PPC 43 is suitable for general plastering works, while PPC 53 is used when higher strength and faster setting times are required. You have to ensure the cement which you will be using for plastering should not be older than 3 months. Thickness of plaster. The thickness of ceiling plaster shall be 6 mm, internal plaster 12 to 15 mm, and external plaster 15 to 20 mm. External plaster is generally applied in 2 coats. First coat is base coat, which is of 10 to 15 mm, and second coat is thinner, typically around 3 to 5 mm. Surface preparation. Ensure that the surface to be plastered is clean, free from dust, loose particles, and any contaminants. Repair any cracks or damages on the surface before starting the plastering process. If the surface has old plaster or paint that is flaking or peeling, it needs to be removed before applying new plaster. Before applying the plaster, it is recommended to wet the surface with water. If it is not done, the wall will absorb water from the mortar, which may lead to the formation of cracks in the plaster. Mixing ratio. The correct mixing ratio for ceiling plaster is 1:4, that is, 1 part of cement to 4 parts of sand, while for wall plaster it should be 1:5. If it is not followed, then it can lead to reduced strength and potential cracking. Curing. The curing of a plastered surface should begin after 24 hours and should be continued for next 14 days. If it is not followed, it may cause cracks, reduced strength, poor adhesion, and structural issues, shortening the plaster's lifespan. The date should be mentioned on the plastered wall to facilitate tracking of the curing process. Cement slurry application. Before applying plaster, cement slurry is to be applied on the wall. This helps the plaster stick strongly to the wall. For concrete surfaces like columns and beams, dry cement needs to be applied because concrete doesn't absorb water, and it creates a strong bond between the concrete wall and plaster. Chicken mesh. For joints between concrete column and wall and concrete beam and wall, chicken mesh is to be used. It increases strength and prevents cracks formation. Silt content. The silt content percentage in sand should not exceed 6% by weight. A mixture of crushed sand and river sand is often preferred for plastering in construction as it combines the advantages of both types of sand, providing better workability and strength to the plaster. Commonly used ratio is approximately 70 to 80% crushed sand and 20 to 30% river sand. Sand should be sieved before using it for plastering in construction to ensure uniform particle size and remove any impurities that could affect the quality of the plaster. Hacking. Hacking is a process of creating dents on concrete surfaces to improve the mechanical bonding of plaster. By striking the concrete with a chisel, around 300 to 350 dents per square meter are advised. It should be done at least 3 days after casting the concrete for better results. This allows plastering materials to adhere effectively, overcoming the challenge of bonding with smooth concrete finishes. Making grooves. Making grooves on external plaster can be a technique used to control and mitigate the effects of cracks that may form over time. These grooves are often called control joints or expansion joints. These grooves prevent cracks from extending further and spreading across the entire surface. When we make grooves in external plaster, it should be done 1 to 2 hours after application when the plaster has set enough to retain its shape but is not fully dry. If grooves are attempted to be made in dry plaster, then this can weaken the overall structure of the plaster and may lead to durability issues over time. Making grooves in dry plaster won't allow for controlled cracking. Hence it is crucial to create the grooves while the plaster is still wet. Door and window frames. For better alignment, door and window frames needs to be fixed before plastering. If it is not followed, the openings may end up misaligned or not properly centered. This can result in uneven gaps between the frames and walls. Fixing frames after plastering can lead to time delays and additional labor cost, as extra work is needed to adjust and fit the frames correctly. Gap between floor and plaster. At the time of plastering the internal walls, a gap of 6 inches needs to be left between the floor and plastered wall. This gap allows for installation of floor tiles. When tiling a bathroom or kitchen, it is essential to keep the plastered surface rough to ensure better adhesion for the tiles. Waiting period. In case of cement-based plaster for internal walls and ceilings, it is recommended to wait at least 2 to 3 weeks after plastering before applying putty or paint. In case of gypsum-based plaster, you can typically apply putty or paint after about 1 to 2 weeks, as gypsum dries faster than cement. In case of cement-based plaster for external walls, waiting for at least 3 to 4 weeks is recommended. If it is not followed and if putty or paint is applied too early, then it can result in poor adhesion and premature failure, leading to peeling, cracking or bubbling of the finish. Making of mortar. When preparing mortar, that is a mixture of cement, sand and water, you should avoid mixing it directly on the ground or any soil surface. Instead, use a clean and appropriate container or mixing area to combine the ingredients. So friends, just follow these steps and your walls will thank you for a beautiful and long-lasting finish. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.